A friend of mine bought an Epic E36 BMW that has been built to replicate the Super Touring era. It's over there in the back, and I need to see if I can get it ready in 3 weeks' time for its first race. That is the Passion for Speed Festival at the end of the month. Let's see if we can do it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the first real video in the new workshops. This is going to be an interesting one. We have a new car in the workshop and it is going to be part of the SSBB fleet for now. So what do we have? Well, we've got something that some of you might be familiar with and some of you might not. But anyway, let me show you what we have. So what you see behind me is an extensively modified E36 BMW. Now this BMW has raced in the BMW Club here in Johannesburg, Gauteng, and it is, like I say, extensively modified. It has a Super Touring kit on it, so that is basically the Super Touring front bumper. It has these 318i Super Touring rear mirrors. It has this Super Touring copy wing. It also has a M3 CSL style wing. I'm not the biggest fan of that because it is not original to the E36. You can also see that the arches have been flared significantly. So I am not one for massive flared arches, it's just not my thing. But this car has all of that done to it already. It is also running 265s all around. 265s are super wide. It's probably the widest wheel and tire combo you're going to get on one of these E36, and that's why the wheels the wheel arches are flared like that. Bonnet is fiberglass, fenders are fiberglass, and there's a bunch of fiberglass work done. You can see the skirts are also fiberglass now. A friend of mine bought this car. He was going to race it, but he is very new to motorsport. He's still contemplating whether he's going to drive it or not. I'm considering driving this car at the Passion for Speed. Unfortunately, my car will not be ready because of a delay in some of the valve springs from the US, from SuperTech in the US. So we've only just received them, and unfortunately that is putting us on the back foot. We're also waiting for the con rods. That's the other thing, the connecting rods. So my car just won't be ready. There's quite a lot that needs to be done to it, so I'm not really sure we're gonna make it. I need to really go through it, but let me take you through what's under the hood. Is an M54 B30. That is from the E36 330i, and it is apparently stock. Does have an exhaust, a cone filter on the front. That's about it. It's running a different ECU. Not sure if they are running the Vanos. It's possible that they are. The car pulled really well when I drove it, but the car is driving all over the place, even worse than my E36 was when I drove it back from very north of South Africa. So you can also see there's substantial fab work that's been done to the chassis. So this is a common upgrade. It just basically offsets the top of the shock tower to give you maximum caster. It's not really giving you any camber, it's just giving you caster, but that's why you have these adjusters, so you can basically turn this whole thing to get more camber. So this car does need more front camber. So here you can see also it's kind of been set at maximum caster for a bit of camber. You can also see with a bit of camber, sorry. Now something I heard when I was driving is this front strut is bouncing around like crazy. The car feels very soft. The chassis has some reinforcing here, not the greatest, but okay. It's got a reinforcing bar there. Can't really see anywhere else, so but at least it's got the the strut towers reinforced to the roll cage, and that is important on a race car, especially on these. The Super Tourers used to have reinforcing bars from here down in and triangulate this whole front end, because the front chassis legs used to twist like this. Shout out in the comments if you want me to do that again. The engine seems good, it's a good fit for the car. For this car to be competitive though in its class, it needs a bit more power. It also has the wrong tires, it needs new tires, it needs upgraded brakes. We have to drain the oil, flush the brake fluid, so that's part of what we're going to be doing. This car needs a lot of work. Like I say, when I was driving it, the car was kind of all over the place, and I think that's the first thing we're going to investigate on this car, what's going on with the chassis. So let's get into that. Okay, so when I drove this car, I said that there was something weird happening on the back end of it, and it was all over the place. Well, loosening wheel nuts, loosening wheel nuts. First things first, when you have a situation like that, you always leave the wheel on, and first thing you check is the wheel bearing. So I've jacked the car up, let's check the wheel bearing. And straight away there is significant play. I can feel play in between the caliper and the disc, which means, or the disc is moving around, and that means that the wheel bearing is pretty much done. So that's the first thing. It doesn't explain why it would be kind of darting all over the place, but let's get this wheel off and have a further look. Tires are finished. So I've been under there and I've had a gander, and there's a couple of things that I found. So first of all, this car has pretty trick suspension, meaning that what they've done is they've installed a coilover damper on the back, a coilover shock, and they've taken out the bottom control arm that has the spring in it, and by doing that you reduce a lot of weight. They've replaced it with a rose joint setup with fabricated arms, which is just basically a tube that allows you to adjust everything. But the challenge with that is, especially with the running 265s, is that it puts so much load into the car, you end up with a lot of wear, and those components inevitably fail. So that is kind of what's happening with this car. Can you hear that play? So that's a combination. The wheel bearing is definitely going, and if I fiddle around with it, I can feel that is this bottom rose joint over there. So I'm going to get under there and show you guys exactly what I mean. So this is what I mean. This tube with rose joints on the end connected to the control arm over here, and then those rose joints kind of tie into the subframe, and they have machine fittings so that they can work. But what happens is, especially the commercial grade rose joints, I can't tell if this is a chrome moly rose joint or commercial grade, because if you do this you need to have very, very high quality rose joints, otherwise this just happens. So if you look there, the play is on this rose joint in between the brass and the actual stainless steel. So that's where one of the issues is. It could be play on that side. I need to look, investigate. And then at the top they also have the this tube with the rose joints on, so that you can set the camber. It's the bottom one that they have installed. I've also got this one, but the bottom one gets rid of the spring, and then you can run a coilover setup. Let's check the other side. Okay, so first things first, let's check the wheel bearing. Oh my lord, that is bad. Look how much it's deflecting. So this wheel is actually about to come off. That's how much plays on here. Let's just check if it's the rose joint. Well, I've got the leverage of the wheel. No, this is the wheel bearing. Wheel bearing is absolutely finished. This rose joint feels good though. So does the top one. Looking at just the wheel bearing and rear brake pads. Okay, so there's a chance I could still race this car. It has solid rear mounts, not even poly bushes. Damn, that's commitment. Still need to sweep the garage. I still need to sweep the workshop floor. Well, there's your problem. Yeah, wheel bearings absolutely destroyed. Nothing left of them. Real wheel bearings and a rose joint that side. Let's check the front. Alright, so first things first, get the light set up. This lighting situation is a problem. So first things first, brake pads look good actually. Yeah, something is loose here. That's the top of the shock. So the wheel bearing feels okay. This shock I think is finished. Yeah, it's this top spherical mount. If you look with a very keen eye, it's this bearing at the top here. Normally that's okay. If there's a little bit of play on this top bearing, it's not the biggest deal. So, front left damper finished. Top spherical bearing, there's play here in between. This car has E36 330 brake discs and calipers. So it's running a pad obviously for a 330. The pads are still new, that's good. The disc is still okay. On the back of the car has braided, stainless steel braided brake lines, but someone has replaced the front brake lines with rubber brake hoses. Now on a race car, you cannot have rubber brake hoses because of A, the heat, and B, they expand under extreme pressure, and you know, if not operated correctly or under the right circumstances, they could possibly even burst. Stainless steel brake lines are also just so much more durable. So that is another example. Here you can see this coilover is leaking. It's probably doesn't have any oil left in it. So unfortunate neglect. Alright, so this car has Cobra race seats, non-reclinable. It has a fiberglass dash, which is a copy of an E36 dash. It's a bit rough around the edges, either way. Now it has this checkered plate, aluminium on the floor. Not a fan of that, but it's something we can change. The doors have been gutted, all of the doors. It has pretty much analog dash gauges for a lot of the stuff. Water temp, what do we have? Fuel level, we have oil temp, oil pressure, and then volts. We've got a massive pressure light there and a water light there. So that is oil pressure, and it's running a local ECU, very old ECU called a GoTech Pro. We switch it on like so, and then it is running a locally made dash by a company called Power Mods. It's the old, for the South Africans, they will know this is the old Domingos. Pretty basic dash, but it's pretty impressive on what it can do. There's your oil pressure light. It's waiting for the dash, so you can see there's your throttle. Get 100% throttle, that's all good. Oil pressure. Let's start this puppy up and let you hear what she sounds like. She sounds pretty sweet, that's for sure. Like I say, it's still a bit rough around the edges here and there. Needs some wiring to be fixed. It's a stock gear linkage, gear lever, which is not bad. It's just a throw, and then obviously the world of play on here. So that needs some sorting out. This car actually needs a bit of work, but it is raceable. It's not to say that the car can't be raced. The car can be raced. Just, you know, we got to fix the vitals before we can do anything. So I'm filming here because there's just much better light here. But all in all, this is a really good car. It is a good package. Someone has put an extreme amount of effort into the detail of this car to make it super quick. And a lot of good work has gone into this package. With the suspension especially, you can see, wow, someone's really gone to a lot of detail, and the weight saving on the car. But with race cars, they require an insane amount of maintenance and care. And the biggest challenge with this car is that you can see it has just been neglected. And that's just wear and tear, you know, on the car. And perhaps neglected is the wrong word. Maybe it's just been erased and not really maintained at the level it should have been. And you can kind of see that everywhere in the car. So that's going to be a wrap for this episode. I'm going to transfer the news to the new owner. And yeah, we got quite a bit of work to do. Whether this car will race or whether it won't race at the Passion for Speed, I'm not really sure. There's actually quite a lot to do. It can be done. We need 2 new front shocks. We need to repair those bottom welds on the spindles, and then we need rear wheel bearings and 1 rose joint. So fun times. But anyway, oh yeah, we still need to change the engine oil and then just give it a clean and clean the air filter, all the basic stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. That's our new project car. It is not really a project car, but it is, but it isn't, but whatever. So thanks for watching. We got some updates coming on the Ford and more stuff down the line. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Ciao, bye.